This podcast is produced by the Deer Tribe Metis-Medicine Society. Copyright DTMMS, all rights reserved. Materials may not be used without written permission.
The Sweet Medicine Sundance Path is a mystery school that offers shamanic knowledge and practices for anyone seeking personal growth, spiritual awakening, and evolution through interconnectedness. Today, the wheels and keys, the teachings, practices, and ceremonies are available at workshops, events, and ceremonial gatherings in various countries around the planet. Welcome back to DTMMS TV. I'm Nicholas Samad, and I have been studying and applying the Sweet Medicine Sundance Path's teachings in my life for over 25 years. Today, we are fortunate to have a conversation with Naide Bruno, one of the most highly regarded and credentialed teachers on this path. She's a naturopath, a chiropractor, and the author of the Sweet Medicine Sundance Path's Healing Paradigm Manual. Naide, thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm always very happy and excited to speak about something that I truly love, and this is an opportunity right here. So thank you for having me.
So, the Sweet Medicine Sundance Path, the healing paradigm, views health very differently from traditional allopathic Western medicine. Can you speak to the differences?
Yes, Western medicine, although in Western medicine, there's a real acknowledgement of the psyche and the body as a unit. However, Western medicine does look at the body as a machine. So it's a very mechanical kind of model where something's wrong and you fix it, like one would one's car. And that keeps it in a very limited framework. And what we do is that we look at the body as a much more holistic way, which many people know that word. And that is the holism of the balance of the emotions, the body, the mind, the spirit, and the soul force. That we are a combination of all of those things. And so that in combination with being in harmony with nature, with harmony with ourselves, with spirit, with all of those that we relate to, is truly the definition of health. And looking at it from all of those aspects takes us also into what needs to be healed.
So, we are not the only paradigm that looks at a human being not just as a physical body, that there are other aspects that you've named. Can you say a little bit more also about how how we perceive the body and the whole being of a human being, energetically?
Well, energetically, we are we could say kind of a network of vibrations. Everything from the physical body to the extended body or the energy body that goes beyond our physical body. And so therefore, any way in which all that can stay in harmony, in balance, in its proper frequency, so that we can always return to that place that is our naturalness, to really be able to go forward in a way that is easy to do, that it's not a lot of work when we're in balance, it just happens naturally. And so we really honor that capacity of the body to be able to do that and its actual desire to be able to do that. And so when we look at the balance of all of these aspects, then we can see, okay, what is it that really is asking for some attention? Asking for some way of letting go of old patterns that are no longer working, and looking at new ways of doing things in a way that really is in alignment with who we really are in our true self.
So am I to understand you that the body in and of itself would be healthy, except that there are imbalances that what are causing the imbalances? We have in our paradigm, we have the term sickness, disease, illness, and death. We see these very clearly in a sense of a progression of imbalance. Would you say? How would you explain?
Yeah, sickness, disease, and illness. So I'm going to talk about those three first, and death is a separate thing. But when we're looking at that, we are looking at, it's true, a progression of how we go from an incoherence or a lack of balance. We'll just go back to that, and that takes us away from the naturalness of who we are. And so, for example, when we're looking at a level of sickness, that can be anything, let's call it on the emotional level, okay? So we actually associate it with the different aspects of oneself. So sickness is more like in the emotions, that there is something that is incoherent or is overriding or being repressed. And illness is another way of looking at how one could say, in say the spirit aspect of ourselves, that when we talk about spirit, we talk about being in alignment with light, alignment with beauty. And so that also can change. And when we are out of alignment, then we are not in alignment with the light. And the same with the mental aspect, because disease, if you would take the word disease and put a hyphen there, you would put dis-ease. Now, our paradigm is not the only paradigm that speaks of it in that way. But what we're looking at here is when we have issues around our mental machinations and the ways in which we lose energy and the things we think about and perseverate on that are all part of a mental imbalance. And so those three things are actually looked at in a very different way, and they impact this energy body in a very different way, these different fields of vibration, and we call them rings of the aura, for example. And so when something is impacting us, say on the emotional level, it's impacting us at that emotional level. That could be on the, I'm just not feeling great, and I'm feeling a little bit down or whatever. That could be in a more of the lighter vibrational level of this aura. But if that's not attended to, then it can go into a deeper level, and then a deeper level, and so on, till it literally gets encoded into the physical body. And so that's the way we look at this progression. And it's very important to understand that, because there's a lot that we can do to nip that in the bud, shall we say, a lot sooner. And therefore, it's maximum efficiency to do it that way, and probably costs us a little less in our healthcare system as well.
Yeah, so it's not just we're not just looking at the physical symptom as such. We're looking to see that there could be other causes for a physical symptom. Is that so?
Yes, and there's always everything is connected to everything else in the body, in the psyche, in the spirit. And so many times those symptoms may not show up in the physical at this point. However, they're still there. And so it's the dedication that we need to have towards really, not that we're always looking for something wrong, but more that we're actually wanting to really be able to be more aware, more sensitive, be more present to what the feelings and sensations in our body, for example, or what is going on over and over again in the mind, and I can't sleep, and I can't, I'm not able to deal with my everyday life. And those are all clues of what could be going on a deeper level.
So it sounds like if I was a person who was having the same kind of thought patterns and emotional reactions that were not necessarily making me feel good, eventually, if I didn't change those thought patterns or emotional reactions, then I would continue to progress in a way that would eventually make my body sick.
Yeah, and that's because basically there's only one basic rule of the universe and a sacred law, and that is change is inevitable. And if I'm not changing when there's change there, then I'm blocking something. I'm losing energy. I'm actually aging, we could say. We could use many different words, but that's really what it is that we're looking for. And how is it that I'm blocking this? What is the fear underneath that? But not only from a psyche and psychological point of view, but is on a deeper level, on some way in which we are stopping ourselves from evolving, stopping ourselves from growing, because it's the unknown. And so that change that is inviting us to make a jump is often one of the greatest opportunities and the greatest teachers for that healing to happen. But it does require a dedication to say, okay, I'm not going to continue with this. And is this really as bad as it's going to get? And many times when it gets to a point where it's as bad as it's going to get, that's when we say, okay, I need some help. I need to do some healing. And I need to look at what is the motivation underneath this pattern that is not working for me.
So what I'm hearing is that change, transformation, and death are connected. Do you agree with that? Do you see that the connection?
Well, as I said already, change is inevitable. It is one of our sacred laws. And so therefore, we're not going to stop change in our universe. The question is, how do we actually negotiate change in our lives? Because that's where we get stopped up. That's where we can get stuck. And so transformation then is always an invitation, even little transformations. They don't have to be something earth-shattering. But when we know that change is offering something to us, is presenting itself to us, we can say, this could be a moment to transform something. And so the word transformation will always go along with change. And then if we're going to add the word death, then the death is actually what we could call the great benevolent transformer. It is the ultimate transformation, obviously, when we leave this physical form. And so that the way we engage in our little deaths in our life and say, yes, okay, something's got to give. I have to change something here, is going to make a big difference in when we meet the actual experience of dying, of death, as the benevolent transformer, because it is the ultimate journey, as we all know. Every spiritual path talks about that. So that way that we actually meet death is going to be really important. We have a teaching that speaks about death as an ally, a companion, and an advisor. And it comes to us, death, transformation, little deaths, and the biggie, come in ways of giving us an opportunity to really look at it from and we're willing to engage with it. And so death as an ally is like a good friend who's looking out for us. Any ally that is going to be there to make life more meaningful and have substance to it, that we can look back at our life and really see that. So that's as an ally, because it's with us. As a companion, it's actually with us on the journey. It's there. It's saying, okay, I'm a fellow traveler with you. And so let's do this together. And it comes to us in that way, in its benevolence. And benevolence is very important because we haven't grown up with a culture that speaks about death as benevolent. And most of us, rightly so, have a significant fear of death. And as an advisor and a teacher, death is always there to show us what is important and what is not. And where am I putting my energy, and what's significant to me, and where am I putting my attention? And anyone who's spent any time with a dying person knows that that will always come into the space with that person, that they're saying, wait a minute, all the stuff that I used to worry about, it's like, no, this is not what's important to me. And there's a looking forward in a way, in a very different way. And therefore, we accept that teacher of death that teach us how to and where to put our attention.
As we are living.
As we are living, exactly. I always say, the more homework I do while I'm still alive, the less I have to do when it's my time to go. Frankly.
So stay tuned for more about healing with Naide coming up.
My name is Ruthie and I'm 10 years old and my medicine name is Dreaming Snake, and my time at Earth Lodge has been very, very fun. lovely friends, delicious food. Hey, I even made breakfast. And the most wonderful community.
My name's Louise. I was a part of Teen Lodge at this amazing place, Earth Lodge. We did like archery, and it told us about how to reach your goals and targets. We did wire building so we can learn how to work in teams, and we did all sorts of stuff.
I'm Yasmin, and my medicine name is Wise Owl, and I've had a really fun time here and learned a lot of stuff at Kids Lodge and made a lot of cool things.
Welcome back to our continuing conversation with Naide about the Sweet Medicine Sundance Path and its healing paradigm. How does our paradigm include any other complementary alternative medicines into its practice?
Yeah, well, as a naturopath and a chiropractor, I've been working with complementary alternative medicine now. It's been 44 years. And so I do take in and use all of these different, we call them modalities of healing, whether it's mind-body techniques or it's even a biologically related technique. In naturopathic medicine, of course, we're speaking about herbal medicine, homeopathy, and those kinds of things. But they're there to affect a physiological change in the body. And then, of course, the manipulative techniques that actually care for and realign the structure so that we can function more easily. And then lots of different kinds of energy therapies that we could work with so that we can use, whether they're a tool, an instrument that we have in our office, or whether it's just using one's hands and things like Reiki and all kinds of hands-on type of healing, working with the energy. And so all of that, including a good dose of a respect for Western medicine, because there's a lot there that is very useful, is all a part of complementary medicine. Now, the big jump into our Sweet Medicine Sundance paradigm is definitely seeing the person as a whole. That's what the word holistic means, obviously. We see the person as a whole, and we also see them in their spirit self, not just mind-body connection, shall we say, but also the spirit, that there is a part of us that is difficult to grasp, but is there, that gives us our determination to live our life and move forward, have motivation. And then there's even more than that, there's the soul. And so the soul is that part of us that's, first of all, is eternal. It's not, it doesn't go through a death. And our ceremonies in our healing paradigm really address a lot of the spirit and the soul components. For every person who comes to us for a healing, there's going to be that kind of place of touching into that looking at the underlying cause of illness. Because what we always say, and what our teacher Thunder Strikes has always said, all cause is spiritual and spirit heals. So all cause is actually spiritual. And so when we look at it that way, you can see the bigger, much, much bigger picture that we're talking about.
So healing in our paradigm is definitely connected to spirit.
Yes, absolutely.
It's the spirit of the greater, or whatever one wanted to call it. And so the individual's spirit and their journey of their soul's evolution that is connected with their symptoms that they present. So does that mean that the symptoms that are presenting are part of that person's evolution?
They're always that whatever we are experiencing in our life journey is always going to be part of our evolution. That's just a given. And when it comes to symptoms of illness or some kind of dis-ease, or whatever we want to call sickness, illness, disease, those symptoms are giving very specific messages. So they're there as a messenger, and so they have something to do with our bigger picture of our soul's evolution. And when we can face it head on and say, okay, this is what I see, this is what I know, what is it now that I'm going to do about that so that I can actually continue my journey unencumbered, shall we say? And that is really the challenge because, many times in our life, reality wins. And so reality can be something that says, okay, but this is a pretty big diagnosis. And this is something that's a true confrontation. And so it requires from anyone with whatever diagnosis or affliction that they may have is going to be that confrontation. And confrontation is a good thing because it actually puts in front of us something that we're saying, I see, okay, I can't put this off any longer. I can't run away from it any longer. It's there in front of me. Now, I could choose to close the door on it, and that's going to have its repercussions. Or I could choose to say, okay, let me take a look at this, and not to have to do it alone. I mean, we have many things in many aspects of our healing paradigm that support a person to have the courage to actually make those jumps. Because we know it's not an easy thing, but it is part of the human condition. That's part of the way in which we all grow. I mean, the Buddhists talk about suffering, right? What is suffering? If we look at what is illness is suffering. And so it's there for a reason. It's not there that we can castigate ourselves. It's not there because we can feel bad about ourselves and I'm not enough, I'm not good enough, something went wrong, I must have, done something wrong. It's more a matter of saying that is how we learn.
So you've spoken about the Buddhists now. I wanted to just make sure that we are, because I know that sometimes when we use certain words, they carry a certain meaning from a certain perspective. So I just wanted to clear that up a little bit. So we use the concepts of karma and dharma in connection with physical symptoms of ill health.
Mm-hmm.
Can you say a little bit about, so we have clarity about what our paradigm means by karma and dharma?
Yeah, that's a very good question because there are different flavors of those words. And so within our paradigm, we speak about karma as basically our karmic existence, the part of our life that is in karma, is basically the fact that we have lessons to learn. And the repetitive cycles, karma is about repetitive cycles, which means that if I didn't learn it this time, it's going to come back and try and teach me again, and then again, and then again, until it gets, the knock is hard enough that I'm going to listen. And so it's that place in which we are kind of constricted into a cycle of repeated patterns. And the most important thing about karma is that they are lessons that we must learn because that's going to be built into us. It's hardwired in us to evolve. And so in order to evolve, we must learn the lessons. So that's kind of the basics of karma. A lot of times karma is coming out in ways of like looking at past history and repeating past history and the themes of our past history, even when they're not working, because that's our comfort zone. That's the place in which we know we've been there. And even though the history, the wounding and the painful parts of history is also something that can be repeated again. And so that's more karmic pattern. Karmic pattern is like saying, well, I wasn't very good in earlier in my life in relationships. And so now it seems like I can't have a decent relationship because I'm just repeating the same thing, they say what we say, the same movie, different actors. It's not. So that's very karmic. So Dharma is very different because it's not about lessons that we must learn in order to evolve. Dharma is about opportunities that come to us because Great Spirit is always dropping opportunities in our lap. Now, the question is, do we see those opportunities? Are we aware of them? Can we hear the voice of Spirit to say, hey, this is an opportunity, even sometimes when it's a bit of a challenge because we have to jump into the unknown. And that jumping into the unknown can be pretty scary. But those opportunities always will give us the gift of seeing our potential, of much more potential. Whereas karma is all about the old history Dharma is about the potential of who we are becoming. And when we can look at that way, life starts to get a lot more interesting. It doesn't mean that life is already now all of a sudden a bed of roses. You know, as I often say to people, you know, Dharma is not nirvana. So there's definitely something that requires, is demanding of us that we engage with it, that we have rules of engagement that are different. One of the major rules of Dharma is even when you may not feel like it, just engage, just say yes. Go forward with it. And that, yeah, you might fail, but failing's fine in Dharma. Failing is not the problem. The failing part is like, okay, I think I got that now. And now you can see, oh, I've now increased, even with failure, my self-worth. I've increased my self-love because I did something that I could maybe have never imagined doing. And stepping into a world that I didn't know. And so as the Dharma opportunities keep coming and we keep saying yes to them, then we start developing a Dharma lifestyle. And that is a wonderful thing. It's not perfect, but it's something that always gives us motivation to go forward.
What comes to my mind is that slogans are great. So karma is learning through pain and suffering of the repetition, and the Dharma is to learn through pleasure and knowledge. So it doesn't mean that it's going to be fantastic, but at least it's pleasurable because you're learning, you're growing, and you're gaining more knowledge. So that's a movement forward.
Yeah. And it's pleasurable to the soul. That's very different than, okay, I went on vacation and I'm lying on the beach and I'm having, that's great to have a vacation lying on the beach. But what's really the heart of the matter is what's pleasurable to the soul. And the only thing the soul is ever doing is it's looking for the way to evolve. That's its greatest goal in its existence. The soul will always be looking for enlightenment.
So stay tuned for more about healing with Naide coming up.
As human beings, we find ourselves walking upon the earth with the opportunity to live, experience, grow, and evolve, and every stage of our life brings gifts and challenges. Each time we undergo a transition, we can make it with awareness and in beauty, in connection with spirit and in harmony with nature, our greatest teacher. As human beings, we have the right to celebrate life, to seal change, and to honor the earth that continuously nourishes us. This is what happens at the Earth Lodge.
I do enjoy the ceremonies and all the teachings. I'm really looking forward to the healing that I can do inside my own self, and also the community is amazing.
I'm looking forward to learning new things, finding out about myself. I'm looking forward to evolving.
The spiritual connection to Great Spirit and to all things magical. These are the things that are most important to me right now.
Welcome back to our continuing conversation with Naide about the Sweet Medicine Sundance Path and its healing paradigm. Thank you, Naide, for joining us.
Thank you.
So in shamanic terms, the word medicine has a broad concept. Can you explain a little about this?
Yeah, the word medicine as we know it, of course, we think of it as applying physical remedies of some sort. And the word medicine in shamanism is actually speaks about what is it that how is it that I can live in harmony with myself, with others, with my ancestors, with the natural world? And how is it that is my medicine, is how I am myself in my true nature, not like anybody else, in relation to the natural world. And so that means that medicine is really a gift that each of us has that's very unique. When we say, what is your medicine, right? Your medicine is what is your unique gift that you bring to life and others. And so being able to open ourselves up to this naturalness so that we can actually just do it in a way that brings us pleasure and others pleasure is really what our medicine is. And that's always been a clear understanding in the shamanic world, that the medicine of something or someone is its uniqueness that it gives to the world. Whether it's a tree or a rock or a person or an animal, it has its own medicine of its beauty.
So in terms of, in shamanic terms, how would you then put that together with holism, the idea that everything is interconnected?
Good. Very
How
good.
that,
Okay, shamanism is actually, I kind of look at it as an ancient version of what we understand in quantum physics. And that is because within shamanism, there's no such thing as separation. Within shamanism, we are all a part of what the quantum physics people say is the unified field. We are all energies of the same, within the same field. And so that brings us to that beautiful place of saying, okay, then there is something that is at the same time bigger than me, but also is me. And when we can go to that place of no separation, then we can actually expand into like, not worried about, okay, what's my impact? What is it that I'm doing in the world that is going to have impact? By just saying yes to no separation and saying, I'm a part of a unified field. What I do, what I intend, what I think, what I feel is all in the same soup. It's all in the same field. And therefore, just by sacred law, that there is no separation because we are interconnected, interreliable, interdependent, then we are able to have that impact. And in healing, that is absolutely critical. It is very important to really see that we're not separate from the person who has asked for healing. That there is what the law that we speak of is the one to the many and the many to the one. And that interconnection is there for all of us. So that means that we are all healers.
and we all have the possibility to be healed during a healing ceremony.
Yes, and the fact that the healing is always begins with the healing of self. And that healing of self means that, okay, I'm healing myself, and therefore that healed self is going to vibrate at another frequency that's going to bring healing to others. No matter what the technique is that I do, no matter what the application I'm going to apply, that is a law. And if I'm inside that law, then there cannot be separation. And that's what it's actually, referred to as a unified field.
It's really amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is amazing.
Stay tuned for more about healing with Naide coming up.
Healing for me is a lifelong process, and inside of this particular program, there are many very, what would I call it, pragmatic and also magical approaches to create healing inside of oneself. It's critical that each one of us as a human being find what is going to feed us, what is going to support us in our own healing and growing.
So welcome back to our conversation with Naide about the healing paradigm of the Sweet Medicine Sundance Path. So Naide, the shamanic view of physical death as being another, well, albeit big change and transformation that we're all going to experience at the end of our life. This is the gateway, if you like, to the next lifetime. And each of these lifetimes, all of these incarnations that we are going through, we're gaining, or our soul is gaining, more and more wisdom, enlightenment within each of those incarnations. So it's logical then to think that the physical challenges that we have in illnesses or sickness or imbalances that we have are an integral part of our soul's evolution. Would you say that?
Because affliction, we'll use the word affliction, so we don't have to say sickness, illness, whatever. But an affliction is something that afflicts a person, right? It's someone that I feel impacted by. And so the affliction is a teacher. And it teaches us, most importantly, when we're at this level here of understanding, it teaches us how to see the bigger picture. And that's hard to see for anyone who's in the middle of the suffering of an affliction. And basically, what does a person want to do? You just want to get rid of it. Like, do something about it, change it for me, because this is not nice. This is not what I like. But however, the affliction is always going to be the bigger picture. And we all have health challenges. All of us do. And for sure, those of us who are, shall we say, getting along in years, know that all of those health challenges become even more obvious to us as the body ages. That's no secret, I'm sure, for anybody. So then when we want to start looking at the perspective, from the perspective of our soul, it's very important to see that our soul, because you just said, our soul encompasses many lifetimes. And so if I'm looking at something that's going on in this body, in this lifetime, and I can then see it even on a bigger picture of many lifetimes, then I can start to see it in a calmer way, in a way that really is more loving to myself, in a way that is able to expand how I see who I am and who I'm becoming. And so that soul's existence and what it is saying to us about reincarnating, about having this come forward yet again, is actually a very important, its function, as I said, is always to be looking for enlightenment. And so that's going to be a journey that is more than one lifetime. It's going to be a journey that gives us all kinds of new experiences, new ways in which we can integrate what we have been experiencing, and then be able to come back with, as our teacher Thunder Strike says, to be able to come back with more memory. The memory of what we learned, and the question is, did we integrate it? There's learning it and then you're forgetting it, or did we learn it and then we're integrating it, and so then we have a chance to, run it again at a different level. And that is the bigger picture of the soul.
If there was someone's come to found our podcast today, and you had a chance to say something to them about our Sweet Medicine Sundance Path and its healing paradigm, what would you like to say?
I would say that all of this that I've spoken about, you already know. It's already in you. And it's just a matter of opening up, and maybe something that you heard is say, yeah, I knew that. Yeah, I can relate to that. And then allow yourself to be in that space with it a little bit more, longer, so that you can really say, I actually have integrated some lessons in my life. And I have understood something about whatever illness I have dealt with or am dealing with, or whatever ways in which I'm not engaging with life that are causing me unhappiness. And so being able to recognize that wisdom is already there. It's just a matter of making a decision to look at it and engage with it. And I welcome you to do that in your life.
Thank you, Naide. I've enjoyed having this time to speak with you, and I look forward to continuing our conversation with you about the healing paradigm and some of maybe the other teachings on our path.
Well, they're all interconnected, so absolutely. So I look forward to it also.
Thank you. For more information about DTMMS and the Sweet Medicine Sundance Path, go to our website at dtmms.org. You'll see a calendar of events and our international offerings. You can also email dtmms@dtmms.org to answer any questions. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music Podcast, and iHeartRadio. Thank you for tuning in to DTMMS TV. If you liked what you heard, then thumbs up and share, please.